All right, welcome to YouTube. This is Expat D. I'm here with a very special guest, No Limit Eddie.
What's up? Glad to be here.
All right, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about
Okay.
your background? I know that you're a YouTuber. You
Right.
got some digital products. Kind of tell us a little bit about what you do.
Cool. So yeah, it's me, No Limit Eddie. I guess my motto is like the 25-year-old American who's been traveling the world the last 4 years straight. So originally from Los Angeles, California. When I was 21, I left America, went over to Tanzania. I've only been back to the States 6 days in the last 4 years. So I've just been kind of bouncing around wherever I could. Yeah.
Right. I have a lot of questions I have for you because I've been watching Eddie for years on YouTube.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit out of sequence.
Okay.
Kind of piggybacking. I noticed around 2020, Tanzania was kind of a hot spot.
Yeah,
Why?
for sure. So I would say it was the openness of the country. So at that point, Magufuli had the country fully open. There was no restrictions to get in. There was no nothing to get in. You just walk in the country, you're free. So that was the big appeal. When everybody was kind of taking your freedom, Tanzania was the most free. And so around that time, everybody was going to TZ. Then there was also a big Hebrew Israelite movement pushing its way into TZ. You know what I mean? A lot of people believe in this is a holy land, this is a promised land. I didn't really believe that, but I did believe, hey, this is where we should be at this point in time because of the restrictions. I ain't messing with it.
Okay, they thought Tanzania was that spot.
Yeah, like
Okay.
there's a large group of people who think like the maps have been flipped and this is Jerusalem and this like yeah, there's a large contingent of people who believe that. You know what I mean? So that was a big portion of the movement too down that side. Was that?
Okay. Kind of segueing into California.
Okay.
Do you think being from California, there's like an open-mindedness that has you open to traveling?
Yeah, I think so because in Cali, like everybody moves there, especially LA. You know, everybody wants to be a Hollywood star. Everybody wants to be a rapper. Everybody wants to be this. So not only do you have people from every single state in Los Angeles, we have people from China, people from Japan, people from Nigeria, people from Ghana. You're gonna run across a lot of international people. You know what I mean? And then it's just even just tourism. People are going there just to walk on the Hollywood Strip. So you're gonna meet and see other people from other nations, and you kind of lose a little bit of the American ignorance where they're like, Africans must live in huts, this. When you see Nigerian, you talk to them, oh, how was this? You kind of can learn a little bit more than the average person, I'd say. If you're like in Wisconsin or something like that, where nobody goes.
Right. So, like, what was the moment? What prompted you to go abroad? So, was it just to leave the country, or is it specifically Africa?
So, okay, I always wanted to leave the US, right? So like I got my passport back in 2018. However, I never even was on a plane before until I came to Tanzania. So I knew I was always gonna leave the States at some point in time. I thought I was gonna go to the Middle East in particular. Yeah, I thought I was gonna go to the Middle East. But again, around the time where I decided to leave, it was a lockdowns and restrictions. So I didn't care where I was going. I'm like, where is freedom? You know what I mean? And it just so happened to be Tanzania. And yeah, I fell in love with African culture, with the vibe and everything like that, and didn't want to leave.
Right. How'd you become a YouTuber?
Yeah, okay. I don't even know if I consider myself a YouTuber, to be fair. When I first left the States, I was really like doing drop shipping pretty heavy. So that's where I was really making money. People thought I was a YouTuber, but I was just making YouTube videos showcasing what I was doing, but the money was coming from the drop shipping.
Okay.
Yes. And then eventually, I say like a year ago is when I really started to lock in on YouTube. Like, no, I need to be serious about it. So that's when I went from like that 20K to now we're at 60K. Like really over the past year, that growth has happened. Taking YouTube serious, planning out the videos, planning out the thumbnails, like locking in.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned in your content that you had 1,094 days without making money before you had a breakthrough.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you have that type of resilience?
So, okay, so for me, I started trying to make money online at 14, right? Yes, I didn't make my first dollar till I was 17. So it was like, there really was no choice, because at 14, you can't really get a job. 15, you
Right.
can't really get a job. 16, you can get a job, but only if your parents allow you.
Right.
And my mom was like, no, I don't want you working, focus on school. So the online avenue was the only way, you know what I mean? And I grew up in poverty. So Section 8, EBT, all this kind of stuff, that's where I grew up in. And so it's like, nah, I need to do better for myself and future generations. And I'm like, the online way is the route. Because you're not going to work at Food for Less and create generational wealth. You know what I mean? You got to crack the code a different way.
Yeah.
And it's just the most I guess opened my eyes to see online is a way to go. And that helped me tremendously, because so many people come to the continent and they can't sustain themselves.
Yes.
But I put in the work. I have a foundation of like, I know how to make money. Even if YouTube disappeared, I know how to make money online. That most people don't have that skill, and it takes time to learn it. Like I said, 1,900 days before I made my first dollar. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So in terms of traveling,
Okay.
what do you think most people Americans misunderstand about traveling to like the different places like Tanzania or Egypt?
Okay. So when you say traveling, do you mean it's like a 2-week joint, or like people who are trying to expat?
I would say even to be open-minded enough to go, because I'll tell you, like from my experience, when I used to mention going abroad, people really looked at me like I was crazy. And they felt like everywhere outside of America was unsafe.
Right.
Or it's extremely like primitive.
Yeah. Okay. That is a common misconception. I think it's changing a little bit. I think now, as they say, desperate times call for desperate measures. I think so much wickedness is going on in the States, where whether people are living in storage units, I just made a video about that, or people can't afford good quality food, or people are always getting sick. And so they're looking for alternatives. You know what I mean? And I think now they're like, okay, maybe there's a place outside of America that has what I need. So I think it's the first thing is becoming aware that there is stuff outside of America. And then number two, I think a big misconception people have that stops them from traveling is fear. You know what I mean? Am I gonna get kidnapped? Are they gonna extort me? Are they gonna hold me for ransom? You know what I mean? Are they gonna witchcraft me? Like, people are nervous about every single thing. But America does a good job at painting itself as the best place and painting everywhere else as a bad place. So I think that's a big misconception, is just a fear. They gotta get over it.
Right. So I had kind of a previous question that we talked about. I wanted to follow up on something about Tanzania. So you're a business person, and I noticed that recently there's been some issues, particularly in the Black community, with like scamming in Tanzania.
Especially
Right. So like, what's your take on that? Because I see some of the feedback, which I'm hearing from others, is that a lot of people are really coming without the business background, and they're trying to reinvent themselves, and they're they really start scamming people because they're trying to find these loopholes and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot to talk about on this, because I made videos about this when I first left Tanzania. Like, eventually this stuff is gonna come out, and it took years before it came out, and it finally has. And so the reason why you never see my name mentioned in any of that stuff, is because the biggest way you get in trouble is doing something you don't know what you're doing about. If I don't understand how to make a couch, I should not be selling a couch to somebody else. I shouldn't say, I'm gonna custom make you a pink couch, and I never did it before. And so people are being in Tanzania for 2 months telling you, I'm gonna teach you how to move to Tanzania. Bro, you haven't even moved there. You've been here for 2 months. And so people they may be good intention. They may not even have an intention to do bad, but they don't have a strong enough foundation to really be teaching stuff they're teaching. And so with me, I have digital ebooks, I got one-on-one courses. I mean, I sell my stuff for $3,000. You'll never see nobody come out and say, no limit Eddie has scammed me. Because like I said, I had a foundation. I'm teaching you what I know how to do and what I'm actively doing. And so that's the difference between me and most people, is I'm gonna teach you what I actually know. So the people who are getting in trouble with the land scamming, bro, you're not a real estate agent. You don't even own land yourself. How are you selling land to other people? You know, and so that's kind of the problem. But I do feel bad about people who got scammed. And I do feel maybe the people weren't even bad intention, but it's just, they just didn't have the knowledge to kind of work their way through the situation. So my advice to people who want to make money online, do what you know how to do. You know, don't overdo it.